In this video, we will be going over on how to create a machine builder in Pocket3d 15 code. In the About tab are all the options for machine builders that I can create. So I can create a millimeter GPS, LPS, and GPS. If I don't have these options, they will not show up inside of the machine setup folder. From the main screen, I'm going to go to Control. I'm going to go to Machine Setup. I'm going to say New. I'm going to configure the name. I'm going to call this one Hyper VR because that is the receiver that I'm going to be using. Let me see. Okay. GNSS. So like I said, I have GNSS. LPS is Prism and then millimeter GPS. If you have the LPS option with GNSS, then you'll be able to use hybrid. I'll go over this in other videos. GNSS. I'm going to say US survey feet because I'm in the US, but there's your other options. I'm going to say Next. I'm going to come down and select the receiver that I'm using, which is a Topkin Hyper VR. I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to fall back and select XR2 because the radio settings have changed. Antenna height. This is important. We can also change this in the Control tab under Antenna later on in the software. Measure to base is used 99% of the time. Measuring the slant would be this little piece that comes in your base and Rover kit. You can hang it off to the side of your pole. Then you can pull a tape measure from the corner on down. Not used very much, but it's definitely an option. And then base is just measured to the bottom of the base. Okay, I'm going to say Next. Maxim GNS says errors. So this is basically your roving error. So if you go outside of this, your system will either tell you low precision, and it won't let you take topo shots and other types of things. We can get this to this in 2 spots, but most of the time, we make the changes here. So this is how long, so 3 shots. It's going to take 3 shots when I take a regular topo shot. And then there's my horizontal RMS. So if it's outside of that, if the system sees me out of tolerance, it'll holler at me. Most of the time, when you go out of halt tolerance, either the base station has moved, or maybe the base station was not set up correctly and you are not in that horizontal RMS window. Control points. This is how long a sample count will be for control points. I highly recommend 120 shots. Anywhere from 60 to 120 will be plenty fine. And then there's your horizontal RMS as well. They're a little bit tighter. Vertical is a little bit tighter than GP than the vertical inside of point measurement. That's because localization and control points are way more important than measured. Topo shots. I'm going to say Next. Now because I have Hyper VR, my radio type is R2 Light UHF. This is a UHF setting. If I was using 915 spread spectrum, I would select R2 Light SS. Okay, those are the 2 most popular. And then, the newest one is going to be if I'm using a Hyper XR or a brand new Hyper VR. You most likely might see the SAT-LT R4+. On my Topkin now, there's a serial number breakdown to identify the Hyper VRs that will be using the new radio boards. In this instance, I'm going to be using R2 Light UHF. The format is going to be R2CM3X. This is Topkin's standard encrypted, unencrypted protocol. So, this is most likely what you're going to be using 90% of the time. If you're trying to talk to a Trimble base station, you may want to be on CMR+. CMR is old 900 based radio and same with RTCM2. So just lower frequency. CMR Plus would be newer and RTCM3X would be the newer. So 99% of the time, you're going to be running on RTCM3X. This section right here says base station. What it does is it looks at the closest base station to you and kicks out if you're trying to get squashed on by other radio channels that are on the same one as yours. Very important to keep this checked. Say Next. It's always going to be a Bluetooth connection. inside of Pocket3d for GNSS the way that we're doing it. Otherwise, go into the manual if you have any other questions. I need to discover the receiver that I'm going to be using as my rover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap this discover, and it's going to bring up all of my devices that it sees in the area. This right here is the Hyper VR that is in the area that I want to use as my rover. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to say select. There it is. I say finish. And then as soon as I leave this screen, there's my machine builder. As soon as I leave this screen, you're going to notice it says tap to connect. I'm going to say OK. And now it says click to connect. So if I click that guy, it automatically will connect to my receiver. It's going to go through these settings configuring. Once it's all done, I can come and hit the GNSS tab. It says waiting for corrections. This is telling me that I have a connection, but most likely, I'm waiting for radio. So if I go into info, it'll tell me 99 the corrections is 99 seconds at 100%. That is telling me that I have no radio. I'm connected, but I have no radio and not talking to it. It also says distance to base is, way off. It'll give you this rubbish number if you do not have correction. It also tells you a couple different things about the receiver in here, what firmware it's on, the device ID of it, and then how much power it has for battery, which is also new to v15 code, which is very nice to know that. And then, that's that.